Follow along with me as I show you step by step how to make beautiful sourdough loaves. We're going to use our starter after we have given it a good feed and it has more than doubled in size like this one right here. Check out how beautiful and active my starter is. I absolutely love her. I got her from the Sourdough Baking Company. If you are looking for a really good active starter, I'm going to link this one down below in the orange cart. I could not recommend it more. Okay, so we're going to start with our kitchen scale. If you don't have one, I would highly recommend getting one so you can be super accurate with your measurements. Put whatever bowl you have on top and then go ahead and zero out that scale. Then we're going to go ahead and put 200 grams of starter. I'm actually making 2 loaves here. So if you only want to do 1 loaf, go ahead and only put 100. So this recipe here, you're going to half it if you're only doing 1 loaf. Don't forget to zero out that scale. Then we're going to go ahead and add 700 grams of water. Make sure this is room temperature and either filtered or spring. That ensures that our sourdough has the right minerals and also that the yeast has the proper temperature to rise. Then we're going to take our bread whisk. If you don't have one of these, just use a regular whisk and you're going to mix until you reach a milky consistency. Then we're going to zero out that scale again. Go ahead and throw in 1,000 grams. I have white all-purpose unbleached flour here. You could also use bread flour. After that, we're going to go ahead and throw in 4 teaspoons of salt. I'm using pink Himalayan here, but just use whatever salt you have available. Table salt works good here too. Going to use that same bread whisk to begin to incorporate the flour and the water together. Once you get to this consistency, this is kind of like a shaggy dough consistency, you're going to go ahead and just go straight in with the clean hands and then work it until it looks like this. Now I'm just kind of scraping the bowl and getting what I can off the sides. You could also use a scraper to do that too. Okay, so once it's incorporated, go ahead and use a damp tea towel or kitchen towel and throw it over the bowl and set it aside for 1 hour. Okay, so 1 hour has passed. We're going to do our first stretch and fold. This is going to be the first out of 3. I do have a little bowl of like warm water on the side right there. It does help with the dough not sticking to your hands as much. So go ahead and dip your fingers in. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. And then go ahead and take a side of the dough like I did, stretch it, and then fold it over onto itself. You're going to turn the bowl and you're going to do that for each and every side. Keep in mind, the further this process goes, the more stretch and folds you do, the harder it's going to get to pull the dough apart. That's perfectly normal. That's exactly what we want. This is going to get the gluten forming in the dough. Once you've done your last side, go ahead and throw that damp towel back over the bowl. Then you're going to do this 2 more times with 30 minutes in between. After that, you're going to leave it on the counter for another 4 to 8 hours until it starts to look like this. This has been sitting out on my counter for about 6 hours. As you can see, it has doubled in size and it's got these little bubbles forming on the top, on the sides. That is what you're going to look for. The temperature and other factors are going to play into how long you need it to sit on your counter. So just look for these signs. I'm going to go ahead and grab my cutting board. I'm going to give it a generous little sprinkle of flour right there, kind of rub it around. We're going to let gravity do most of the work here. Just kind of flipping my bowl over and then using my scraper to just get the sides off and let the dough kind of fall into the cutting board. Ugh, isn't she just gorgeous? Look at that loaf. Okay, I'm going in with my little scraper thing. I don't know what this is called. I forgot, but just kind of eyeballing it and dividing it into 2 portions. Okay, so take 1 portion. You're going to throw it on that floured surface. And then we're kind of going to just like finesse it, kind of pull it apart. You don't want to be super rough here. You're going to kind of just work it with your hands. It'll eventually kind of like loosen up a little bit. And then you want to just get it to a really nice rectangular shape. Once you're there, you're going to go ahead and grab one side. You're going to flip it inward into itself, like so. I kind of did a little overboard there, but that's okay. And then grab the other side and then fold it. It's going to look like a burrito like this. And then you're going to take that bottom half and then you're just going to kind of roll it, tuck it, roll it, tuck it, until you get a really nice spherical little dough ball. And you're just going to kind of work it a little bit until you kind of get the sides tucked in a little bit. Just keep kind of sliding the dough underneath you, grabbing it and kind of like sliding it underneath you. Then we're going to take our banneton here. I'm going to show you how I season it. I just kind of have like a little spray bottle, spray it a little bit. You can also just use like a damp towel and just kind of pat it with some water, throw some flour in there. And then I kind of just like do this with my hand, kind of move the flour around. And then I will shake the excess out into the trash can or into the sink. Once you've done that, I'm going to go ahead and take the little dough ball. You're going to flip it with the smooth side down. And then go ahead and pat it with just a little bit of flour. We're going to cover it again with that damp tea towel. And then we're going to give that bulk fermentation a head start. We're going to leave this on the counter for 1 hour. Before you put it in the fridge, go ahead and throw it in a grocery bag, or if you have any kind of plastic bag. This will help to seal in the moisture and keep your sourdough super moist. And then we're going to throw throw it in the fridge overnight for 8 to 12 hours. It's the day you get to bake with your sourdough. You're gonna want to preheat your oven for about 30 minutes to 1 hour with the Dutch ovens in the oven. Go ahead and grab about 12 inches of parchment paper. Take that beautiful loafie from the fridge. Go ahead and just dump her out. It should come out nice and easy with that seasoned banneton. Then you're gonna go ahead and take a little razor. This is called a bread lame right here. This is like a baking tool. If you don't have this, you can just use like a sharp knife or a razor if you have one on hand. I kind of just wing it here. Usually my formula is like 2 deep cuts on both sides, and then I kind of just like do little designs. I really need to work on this. I feel like mine are so ugly. Like when it's baked, it looks okay, but like in the process right now, definitely not that pretty. So yeah, you can kind of just wing it here, have fun, don't take it too seriously. Once you're done, grab that Dutch oven out of the oven. Be careful, it's super, super, super hot. And then go ahead and put your bread in there with that parchment paper, put the lid on, and then you're gonna put it in the oven for 30 minutes. After 30, this is what they should look like. Yay, so beautiful. Remove the lids and then keep them in there for another 15 minutes. Here I'm doing a 15-minute check. I want them a little bit crispier, so I'm gonna keep them in for another like 3 minutes. And voila! These are what they look like. So beautiful, brown, crispy brown, all around, just a really great color. I don't have a cooling rack, so I just throw them on my oven. Here's what it sounds like. Absolutely delicious. This one came out so good. Remember, really good sourdough requires a really good starter. So if you want to grab the same one that I use, I'll link it down below in that orange cart right there. Happy baking!